Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Weighing Room, where the three of us are back together again to go through the 8 live races on Saturday from Epsom. And with it being the big 2023 Derby meeting, there is some cracking races on offer. Frankie, you'll be there both days. We're recording Friday morning ahead of the Friday, but the Derby, it's the biggest race of the flat season, isn't it, for many? And what a good renewal we have this season.
Yeah, the Derby looks great. It's hard work from a punting perspective, but I mean, it always is because the Derby's kind of when all of these horses come together and show their best on the day. So, in all these previews, we're all saying the same thing. They've all got chances, and we'll kind of find out on the day. But it's definitely exciting from a viewing perspective. Anyway, I can't wait. And the meeting as a whole is a great weekend. They do a real good job at the course of putting loads on, and people always turn up excited for it, and rightly so. So yeah, great weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And Friday will be just as good with some great runners as well in the Oaks. Paul, on the mic at Fairy House yesterday, how did it all go?
Yeah, it was good. Really enjoyed it, and it was hopping like I was doing a bit of tipping in the hospitality suites as well. So no, geez, it was great. The weather makes a huge difference as well. But like Peter Rowe, Gillian, and the team, they put on a fantastic show. And like I said, the place was absolutely hopping. So it was a great evening. And yeah, if you're about the area, they're racing there the next 2 Fridays. So if you're about the locality now, you could do worse than call in on the way home from work. So busy evening, and today I am in between the day job in the mid-afternoon. I'm off to the racing school to give a talk to the poor unfortunates that are graduating this year. So I think I'm on a panel with Danny Mullins and Ross O'Sullivan, and I think David Cox from Baroda Studs. So that should be a good afternoon. Show business, James.
Yeah, top stuff, top stuff. Busy man to pin down. Right then, we'll kick off in the opener on Saturday from Epsom. Then it's the 12:50, and we start with the Group 3, the Betfred Diomed Stakes over 8.5 furlongs. This race hasn't. If you actually look through this renewal this season, it's full of horses that you could go against, but one of them's got to win. So, Frankie, we'll start with you. Is it as simple as the favourite just goes and wins, or are you looking elsewhere?
Um, the favourite could go and win, but maybe slightly short for me. It is a weird race. I agree. I kind of looked through that. At least the top couple in the betting and thought I'm trying to get this favourite beat really. So I'm having a bit of a swing at a price here. Imperial Fighter, a horse that will have to come back to some form of old, but there is some talent there. Fifth in a Futurity, third in an Irish 2000. Seasonal debut didn't perform because of the heavy going. And then I don't think his run last time out in a Group 2 was awful. Like I said, he will have to find some form of old, and we'll have to build on the last performance. But as I said, I'm trying to get the favourite beat, and I was looking for a bit of a price, and Imperial Fighter was one that maybe is slightly overpriced in the field for me.
I think that's the right way to play it. As in, look, the favourite could go and win going easy, but it's 6-5. I'm happy to let that horse win. So I'd be doing the same at looking at one at a bigger price. But Paul, we'll go to you. Like I mentioned, this race, it's a dreadful group 3 for me to start the card, because even though there's actually some nice horses in there, they've thrown some absolutely dreadful runs in through their career. So how do you pick through this form?
Yeah, I can't see the favourite being beat. If I was going against the favourite, I'd probably side with Escobar for Dave O'Mara and Jason Watson. But going through the form, Highland Avenue was third behind Adyar at Newmarket last time out and finished 11 lengths ahead of Regal Reality. I think he'll confirm that form here. Cold save for David Egan and Roger Berrien, 3-year-old against the older horses. That puts a negative for me, so I'm against Cold save on that. And to be honest, I don't think the rest are good enough. Like I said, if I was going against the favourite, I'd probably play Escobar, but I think Highland Avenue will take this.
I think you could be bang on. Like I said, it's just a bit short for me. And the one I went with was Colside. The only one getting weight off the entire field being the 3-year-old. A lot of them are really exposed in this field. Holland Avenue 5-year-old, Regal Reality 8-year-old, Escobar 9-year-old, Marie's Diamond at the bottom 7-year-old, and even Imperial Fighters a 4-year-old. So I think with Colside getting the weight, you don't know how good this horse could be yet. Where I think we know where we are with a lot of these horses. Yes, the form of Highland Avenue, third behind Adyar last time. He is the best form on offer, but showing throughout his career that he's ran really well on fairly soft ground. Yes, he's chucked in a good run on good, but a lot of his form has come on soft ground. It's not going to be soft at Epsom on Saturday. So yeah, Coleside for me, it's been trimmed into about 3-1. It was about 4-1 yesterday. But what I really liked about this horse is obviously it's run behind Canberra Legend in the listed Fielden stake. Canberra Legend hasn't come out and franked the form, but Coleside ran a cracker that day. That was on good to soft. It was on good to side last time out as well at Goodwood. But if you actually go and watch that race back, yes, it lost by 5.5 lengths, but it got in such bad trouble. And I don't know how he got into so much trouble under David Egan, but when he actually got out, Cicero's gift had gone. The race had gone. So from getting out a bit of trouble and staying on well, I thought that was brilliant. And I'm happy to give him a chance because he's a 3-year-old and I just don't think he's a very good race at all. Paul, you could be bang on, but I just want to try and get his favourite beat in the Open and we'll see how we go. Right then, the big one. It's early on in the card than usual, obviously with the FA Cup final on the same day. But the 2023 Epsom Derby over 1 mile 4 sees an absolutely top class field. But what it sees this season is not a certainty that we've seen in the last few renewals, really, where you've had a really strong favourite. We've got August Road at the top of the market, obviously blown out in the Guineas last time. Military Order 92 for Charlie Apple and Willie Buick. Arrest, Frankie's last ride in the Derby 11-2. Passenger 13-2 haven't been supplemented. Spreewell 11s and 12-1 bar those. Paul, we'll start with you. It's a fascinating contest, isn't it, the Derby this season? Who do you like?
I like Military Order. Guess the tentative nod here. 3 wins from 4 starts. I like the manner in which he won both at Newbury 2 starts ago and in the Lingfield Derby trial last month. He seems fairly straightforward. He's drawn a stall 9. Charlie Appleby teaming up with William Buick. And yeah, Military Order guessed the vote here. Best price 9-2.
Yep, I'm with you. I've got a win in each race selection in this year's Derby, and Military Order is my win selection. I've loved this horse all season, and I think he's probably one of the horses with the least to prove going into the race. You've got August Road down at the top of the market that blew out last time. Yes, we've seen Little Big Bear come out from the same yard that blew up in the same race. But this is a Derby. This is completely different. Like that race in a Group 2 at Haydock is, would you say, much easier than going to win a Derby. So for me, Military Order at 9-2 represents a bit of value. He's a full brother to the Derby winner Adiyar in 2021. We know he stays the 1 mile 4, having won the trial at Lingfield last time out. And what he did last time out really put the nail in the coffin for me of why I think he goes and wins this race. Because when Wapero came up next to him, with about a furlong to go, he found another gear and went again. And you've got to have stamina to go and win a Derby. And this horse definitely has stamina. So I think now he's drifted out to 9-2. I think he represents big value. And I think he goes and wins it for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. The only negative I'll say is Charlie Appleby going into this race this season, he's probably in the worst form he's probably been in for the last 5 years. So hopefully that hasn't got a part to play. And hopefully the horses can get him out of it. But yeah, Military Order would be my win selection. But just from an each way selection at bigger price at 11-1, Spreewell for Jessica Harrington. This horse showed glimpses of form as a juvenile last season, racing twice, finishing 4th over 8.5 furlongs in debut at Go Run, and then went to Nace over a mile on heavy ground, was second to a nice type for Aidan O'Brien that's actually with Martin Mead now. He started his term off over a mile at Nace again this season, and he got off the mark in a 4-run event. But he wanted to step up in trip. He got that at Leopardstown last time out in the Group 3 Derby trial, and he absolutely bolted up by 3 lengths. If you look at this horse's pedigree, he shouldn't probably get 1 mile 4, but visually, I've got to take what I saw that day at Leopardstown, and he was going away at the line. I think 1 mile 4 would be absolutely perfect for this horse. And I think 11-1, you can get 4 places with some bookmakers. I think represents a bit of value each way. So I think Spreewell, from an each way perspective, but I'd have Military Order all day to go and win the 2023 Derby. Frankie, who are you picking for the Derby this season?
The Tory fairy tale is going to continue. I like Arrest. I'd probably put 2 up as well. Everybody's talking about needs soft ground. I'm not convinced. Arrest has won well on testing conditions, but there's nothing to say that he can't race on better ground. They took him down to Gallop, and it was the same ground then that they'll probably race on tomorrow. John Gosden was happy enough. He said, if you can't race on this ground, then you shouldn't be racing anyway. So maybe you know, we saw Arrest a slightly better effect on testing conditions, or saw the horses in behind flatter him slightly, but he seems to be a horse that's improving. He's had the benefit of going to Epsom, and I'm not as concerned about the ground as others may be. And then the each way would probably be, like yourself, Spraywell. I really like the way that this horse picked up and hit the line at Leopardstown last time out. I think both those horses, I know all of these horses should improve somewhat, or we should see the best of them on the day. But I feel like those pair have still got a little bit left in them that we haven't quite seen yet. So Arrest and Spraywell for me.
Yeah, lovely stuff. And it would be a great way for Frankie to sign off. And we've seen it already this season, haven't we? He's gone and won a lot of big races already in the UK. So for him to finish off with the Derby would be the fairy tale ending. Right then, we're going to move on to the final group race from Epsom on Derby Day. And it's the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes over 8.5 furlongs for the fillies and mares. At the top of the market, we have Prosperous Voyage at 7-4. Potapova for Sir Michael Stow at 5-2, Roman Mist 11-2, Astral Bow 8-1, Shara 10-1, and Random Harvest 22-1. I think this race is very much like the opener, where all of them you could pick holes in, but someone's got to go and win the race. So, Frankie, I'll let you start in what's quite a muddy picture, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I tried to have a shop around again, but I did come back to the favourite eventually, and hopefully that is the sensible thing to do. Prosperous Voyage, very, very talented horse. Second in that 1000 at Cachet 1, and Tuesday was in third. Two more very, very good horses. She's a Group 1 winner. Her mile, you know, she's a proper miler. That you got the second and third in here from last year, Potapova and Roman Mist, but I just think that Prosperous Voyage is better than the pair and better than even last year's renewal. So hopefully can go and win this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want it was like the other race where I thought I could try and get Harden Avenue beat, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I can get Prosperous Voyage beat here. So, and a slightly bigger price at 7-4. I think she's just the class angle in the race. For the reasons you've mentioned, obviously the second behind Cachet in that 1,000 guineas. But when she went and beat Inspiral, look, Inspiral was on an off day in the Falmouth Stakes, but she's still got really good Group 1 form. She's running the Prix-Jacques Le Marois, some Chariot Stakes. She's been tried in all these fillies races last season in Group 1s and hasn't really discredited herself in any race. This season, she probably did need the run in the Group 2 Darley Stakes, but she didn't actually finish that far behind the pack. If you really think about with the winner going away, how far she did. Al Hussen's come out and won. So I think she would have needed that run definitely, and I think she'd be better, especially for the good ground. If you look through her form, anything with Softin, she hasn't, like, even though she's ran well, she hasn't got close to winning. Anything with good to firm in the description, she has gone close. So I think Prosperous Voyage, just from a class angle, holding serious amounts of Group 1, Group 2 form, having now had the run, she's strict much fitter, and I just think a lot of horses in here are not to a level if she's on a going day. So Prosperous Voyage for me as well. Paul, you're making a hat-trick, or are you looking elsewhere?
I've gone elsewhere, James. I've gone with Astral Bow for Pam Sly and Shane Kelly. Astral Bow finished off last season with a win in a competitive handicap at Newmarket, kicked off this season with an easy win in listed company at Doncaster. I thought ran well to finish third and 9 in a Group 2 contest for fillies and mares last time out. Her best form is on softer ground, but when you go through her past form, she has won on good ground in the past. And at 8-1, I'm going to take a chance on Astral Bow.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Has been running well, but like you said, on soft ground, so you just got to show it on good now. Right, the next race we're going to cover is the first handicap event of the afternoon, and it comes over 5 furlongs with the 3-year-old Dash. If it's not enough that we've got the Epsom Dash the race after, they've chucked in a 3-year-old Dash to make it even harder for us. Paul, this is a tricky handicap. Who do you like?
Yeah, it could be easier to pick the winner of the Grand National now than this, James. This is wide open. Stick a pin. The one I've gone down with is Democracy Dilemma. Holly Doyle teams up with David Evans. Things didn't go quite to plan at Chester last month when ridden by Oisin Murphy, but Democracy Dilemma won well at Thirsk the time before under Holly Doyle. He wears a visor, so I guess he's a horse that might take a little bit of knowing. Holly gets on well with Democracy Dilemma. I know there's a connection there with Dave Evans, and Holly's dad does a lot of work, does a lot of driving for Dave and whatnot. So I know that connection goes back a long way. So maybe it's, Dave might think this is a bit of a chance. He does well with the sprinters. So it's Democracy Dilemma gets the tentative nod.
Yeah, 16-1. I actually put him up at Chester, and he swung on the corner thinking, oh, he's got a great chance, and just blew up, didn't he? But could be very different here. Like you say, might need some knowing, and Holly Doyle back in the saddle at 16s might be a good each way bet. Frankie, who did you come down on?
I think Rustic Gold's worth a shout, just a horse they might have just saved the mark for, and Harry Davis adds to that as well, taking 3 off. So Rustic Gold is definitely of interest towards the top of the market, but the selection probably be Grace Angel, whose mark might have been protected by just some misfortune. Lost a bit of balance in the dip at Newmarket and didn't finish the race well, and then was short of room at York. If you read it, I think the description says slightly short of room, and I can't remember what. I thought that was, well, they could have been more generous, really. The race was gone once another horse came in front along the rail. And then Grace Angel won nicely at Redcar last time out. So potentially a lower mark than might have been if we'd have seen Grace Angel perform the last 3 times as opposed to just winning the last time out. So Grace Angel's the selection.
Yeah, Grace Angel at 10-1. I've gone for the one you mentioned just before, Rusek Gold for Roger Varian. Finished 5th of 15 at Doncaster in July on debut, behind the likes of Millstream and Zaman Jalil. They both went on Frank the Form in better races. He then went to Glorious Goodwood over 6 furlongs and was a middle of the road 8th. But if you actually look who went on to win, it was the Group 1 winner, Mischief Magic over in America, that won that race. So wasn't the worst renewal. Dropped down to 5 furlongs for the first time, next time out. And he got off the mark in quite taking style at Pontefract. Then made his handicap debut at York in October and was a good third, giving over a stone away to the winner. I think, like you said, Frankie, they could have just been saving this mark of 87 for a race like this, because it's quite a nice pot. And with Harry Davis taking off 3 effectively races off 84, he's having his first run since a gelding operation as well. I just think there's a lot going in his favour on Saturday. So even though it's tentative, I think Rusek Gold at 7-1 could be the value in the field for Roger Varian. Right then, like I said, this race does not get any easier. The next one on ITV and at Epsom, it is arguably, like you mentioned, Paul, harder to find a winner in here than it is in the National. It's an absolute commentator's nightmare, I think, with how many horses are flying over 5 furlongs in the Epsom Dash. Frankie, who are you siding with in this year's renewal?
I'm going to go with Clarendon House, who's raced in multiple group races last year. Definitely has the speed to be going and winning a race like this. Doesn't come here off the top weight. There's a couple of others in here rated higher, so just carries 9 stone 5. And I think the horse raced for the first time in a handicap in a long time at York on seasonal reappearance, finishing 5th, but lost to 4 shoes, so we didn't see him to full effect that day. So I think a mark of 100's fair for a group horse. And as I said, not in here off the top weight because there's a couple rated higher. I think that's a great chance. So Clarendon House, my selection.
Yeah, Midland Park have been absolutely flying. Absolutely flying. So Clarendon House at 9s, they'll be hoping has a really big chance. Paul, who did you come down on this one?
Well, I think Mountain Peak, I wouldn't be surprised if he bounced back to form. He was very disappointing last time out, but when you go down through his form, he's back to a winning mark. He runs here off a handicap mark of 101. He won a competitive handicap mark last season at Ascot off 102. So Tom Marquand was on board that day. He's back on here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mountain Peak come back to form. But the one I've gone with is the Richard Fahey trained Vintage Clarets, who's 3 victories from 19 starts, ran well on both starts this season, finished 2nd of 13 at Musselburgh, and then finishing 4th of 10 at Ripon. He was only beaten 3.5 lengths at Ripon the last time out. I think there's enough fancy runners drawn around Vintage Clarets to tow him into the race. And I've tried to go for one at a price, and the one I've landed on is Vintage Clarets.
Yeah, lovely stuff. 12-1. Richard Fahey, Oisin Murphy takes the ride, which is quite big. Yeah, very, very tricky race. The one I came down on was Look Out Louis for Julie Camacho. A horse between 2021 and 2022. He rose through the sprinting handicap ranks, winning a race off a mark of 78 and finishing this last season off a marker 101. Just shows how well he's been going on and how much progression he's shown. In electric form last term, he won races at Newcastle, Chester, at Haydock, multiple times at Chester, a track he's done well at. But his final win in September at Haydock came off a marker 95, and he easily beat the really nice sprinter Corker, who I know we've talked about already this season, who's run well at York. He rounded off the season off a marker 101 when running absolutely no race in Group 3 company, stepping up. This term, it's been similar poor form, but what I think they've been trying to do is get his mark down to something more workable for a race like this, and I think they've achieved it. If you look what he's done, he's run at Lingfield and Chester off a mark of 199. Both runs scream to me, let's get that mark down. They have. He's now running off a mark of 96, only £1 higher than his last winning mark. He has stall 6. You want to be more higher, I think, over the last few years in this race. So your selection, Paul Vintage Claret's from 19, absolutely love that. Mine's going to come out of stall 6, so he has got to bounce out, but he does do that. If you look what he's done at Chester before, he's bounced out and got a made all in quite a few of his races. So, yeah, look out Louis at 14s, just because of his dropping handicap mark and the form he's shown over the last 2 seasons. I mean, get back to that. I think you can make a good case for him. So, yeah, look out Louis at 14-1 in the Epsom Dash. Moving on to the Betfred Leicester Piggott Class 2 handicap, then over 1 mile 2. And Paul, this is another fascinating contest where you've got some unexposed horses in here that are maybe making their handicap debut or having their second start in handicaps, and some that are a bit more experienced. So who have you come down on?
I've got one of the lesser exposed in the John and Thady Gosling trained Torito, who has a cracking pedigree by Kingman out of a Monjou mare. He's won victory from 2 starts. That victory came at Nottingham 2 starts back under Rob Havlin. Then ran a good second of 6 at Sandown last time out. That was back on the 16th of May. Big fan of the jockey on board. I thought he's done well. He's came through a kind of turbulent time and what have you. But I think he's a class act in the saddle and has put them troubles behind him. And I think Torito, best price 6-1. That'll do for me, James.
Yeah, it'll do for me as well, Paul. I really like Torito. I think we're looking at a group horse in a handicap here. I think, like you say, off the back of his pedigree, he's got substantial pedigree, obviously the Kingman factor. But what he's done so far, it's been a typical John and Thady Godden. Let's build this horse up. Let's try him in a handicap of a marker 95. Like they did with Kobe last week in a handicap, and let's go over to bigger things. I think this is very similar to what they're going to do with this horse. What I also like about this is the second last time out, obviously he was a winner at Nottingham, but that was just to get a win on the board. But his second last time out behind Artistic Star, obviously Artistic Star was, I think he's going for the Derby, isn't he? So to have a look, to have a horse off a marker 95 in a handicap and a horse going into a Group 1, with Artistic Star having other entries at Royal Ascot in big races, I think a marker 95 could be quite tasty for a horse that could be much better going forward. So at 6-1, I think you're getting a fair price to find out just how good this horse is. So yeah, I'm with you, Paul. Torito for me. Frankie, who are you going for?
Another unexposed one, but Fox Journey. We're hoping for improvement from these horses, and you've got to look at how they kind of finished the races on their last run. And I think this is another one. I'm hoping for another good day for Harry Davis. I'm hoping they've saved the mark a little. He won cozily last time out. It'd be a much better horse than what we saw last time anyway, or can race in much hotter waters. And yeah, mark of 85 with Harry on board, effectively carrying 8 stone 8. He's definitely better than his mark. It's whether he's good enough to beat some of the higher rated horses like your selection, Torito, and a couple of the others in here. So yeah, I think he's beyond his mark for sure, but he'll have to deal with some of the bigger boys.
Yeah, fascinating contest, like I said, just to see how these lesser exposed horses get on against the more exposed ones. Right then, the penultimate event of the afternoon on Saturday is the Rio Ferdinand Foundation Northern Dancer Handicap over 1 mile 4. Scampy at the top of the market, looking to make it back-to-back wins at 3-1. Frankie, we'll start with you on this one. I found this race a bit like some of the others on the card, where you could pick holes in a lot of them, and I found it harder to try and make a case of one that was going to go and win, where I think if you raced them all on another day, I think you could get a completely different result. If you did it again the next week, you get a completely different result. It's very hard, this one, but who did you come down on?
Yeah, it is a tricky one. I'm going to go with Sea King for Sir Mark Prescott, who's obviously in red hot form at the moment. You couldn't go wrong backing all of his runners right now. Won a handicap off of a mark of 83 early last year, and then was competitive but couldn't manage to win again, you know, when rated in the 90s. Has come back on seasonal reappearance on the all-weather and put in a near career best in terms of RPRs. I'm hoping this horse has just improved a little from 3 to 4, and we haven't yet seen that improvement, and therefore can maybe go and win a race like this off a 92, because he seemed to be almost weighted out of it a little bit last year. His mark hasn't come down, but hopefully there is some improvement left in him, and Sir Mark's in great form, so I think this will give him a good chance.
Yeah, so Mark Prescott, 60% strike rate over the last 2 weeks, six winners from his last 10. He cannot put a foot wrong. Sea King is a horse I've liked, but I've jumped off today. First time cheap pieces as well, and I could be kicking myself because you could just see that horse going to win. So yeah, 4-1 chance for you, Frankie. Paul, who did you like?
Yeah, speaking about jumping off horses, James, I see Benoit de Lassay rides Max Mayhem, and the one I've gone for is the David Minuccia trained Chaos Chorister, who Benoit has been on board all the fillies' 5 victories. He's ridden her a lot in the past, but he was on board, steered her to victory on all her 5 wins. So that's a slight concern, but we've got an able deputy in Ryan Moore. Positives as well. She's never run a bad race here at Epsom. She's a dual course and distance winner. She was second over a mile and 2 here at Epsom on seasonal reappearance. That was back on the 25th of April. Big fan of the trainer, and I think we have an able deputy here in Ryan Moore. So it is Chaos Chorister who gets the nod, James.
Yeah, course and distance winner, definitely got a big chance. I found this very, very tough, and this is very, very tentative, but Scampy was the one I came down on. He's getting a little bit short now. 3-1 fab was slightly bigger, but a winner off a mark of 76 in July over course and distance, and that's one of the big things with Epsom. Obviously, it's a very tricky course, especially over 1 mile 4, of coming around that corner, swinging round that really long straight. So to handle that before is something I like. That was on good to firm ground. Another key to this horse. If you look at any of his runs with soft in description, he hasn't gone well at all. If anything's been good to firm, he's ran a blinder. So he should be getting that ground again. Hopefully there's not too much water been put down. I know there's been a bit of a talking point, but hopefully it's really good, really like good to firm racing flat ground for these horses. So up to a mark of 86, going back to the all-weather on his final run of the season, he finished 5th of 12 in the competitive racing league. Back this season at Epsom, when not enjoying the soft ground over 10 furlongs, he was then seen at York in the valuable Jorvik handicap off the same mark of 86. That was a superb performance, going from the front under Hayley Turner and just finishing off. Up £6 here, which is a bit of a hindrance. But like I said, course and distance winner, again, good to firm ground, where I could make holes in a lot of these horses. And I just think if Scampy's in the same form, he's a solid bet at the top of the market. So very sensitive, but Scampy will be my selection in that. Right then, the final event from Epsom on the afternoon on ITV is the JRA Tokyo Handicap over 6 furlongs. And I just want to start actually this one because I think I found an absolute gem. And I'm going with Mr. Wagyu. I know you say a gem, he's 5-1 joint favourite now, he's slightly bigger. But I was looking through this horse's form, and he's won 15 times for this trainer. All 15 have come in either June or July. Why does this horse only win in June or July? And now it's ticked over so that it'll be the 3rd of June. Surely this is the time where he pounces. And I think I know why. If you look what he does at the start of every season, April, May, his marks too high from the year before when he's done all his winning in June and July. So after June and July, when you're skipping into August, September, he races and he races credibly, but he never wins. His marks too high. It's in the low 100s. When he gets into the June and July, his marks dropped into the 90s, so he can start winning again. And I know he's 8 years of age this season, but it's happened again. If you look at the start of this season, he's running over 5 furlongs and 6 furlong handicaps at Newmarket, Ripon and York. And he never really threatened, but his mark dropped from 101 to 96. He's only £2 higher than when winning this race last year. and he's still £4 above his last winning mark. I think he's a fascinating contender. And like I said, now it's ticked in, it'll be the 3rd of June, won't it? Or 4th, yeah, 3rd of June on Saturday. So that's his time to shine. So Mr. Wagyu, I think just off all those stats can go and win this. But Paul, who do you like?
I've gone with Apollo 1. Guess the nod here. Good draw on 14. Ran well in the Wokingham last season. Finished 8th to 26 in the end, but was only beaten around about 5 lengths by the winner. I thought ran well to finish 3rd at 21 in a competitive handicap at Newmarket when last seen. That was back on the 6th of May. Has a tendency to race keen, but I'd imagine Richard Kingscote, who's won on the horse in the past, I'd imagine he might just let him roll. If he mightn't necessarily have to make the running, but if he ends up there, so be it. But possibly could end up in the sitting 3rd, 4th, 5th. Nice draw, good pipe opener on the 6th of May at Newmarket. I'm with Apollo 1.
Yeah, 13-2 chance. Richard Kingscote in the saddle. Frankie, who's your last selection at Epsom on Saturday?
The same as Paul, but a word on Mr. Wagyu. I remember last year, I don't know why, maybe just because his name, he was a popular winner at Epsom. There was a big cheer when he won, and there was a lot of lads celebrating. I remember after, I guess maybe they're on the same boat, James. I know he wins in June and they turn up to Epsom and have a crack, but yeah, he was a popular winner last. I'm just trying to check what price he was when he won at Epsom before. 12 to 1. So yeah. That'd probably be why they were happy. But yeah, Apollo 1 for me as well was really unlucky last time out. And that counts, if you are a bit short of room in these sprints and it kills your acceleration at the crucial time, then it can be it can really kill your momentum. And Apollo 1 didn't have a great trip at all. So I think with a clearer run, he is top weight in this. But yeah, I think he could be too good maybe for this field.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Agreeing with Paul. 13-2 chance. Right then, chaps. Tricky card we've been through there. We can't all have found the winner of the Derby, but hopefully one of us has. We're going to now move on to the naps for the weekend. Frankie, I think you were Little Big Bear, weren't you, last week? Or was it Paul?
Yeah, Little Big Bear, yeah.
Yeah, so you had a nice winner. So we'll let you start this week. Who are you going for your nap of the weekend, or from Epsom?
Shows what a card it is, doesn't it? When you're like struggling to really come down on a nap. I know Paul was saying it's harder to find a winner of the Class 3 sprint, the 3-year-old sprint, sorry, than the national. But Grace Angel as an each way, I'm hoping will be in the mixer. Won well last time out, and as I said, was quite unfortunate the 2 times before that. So I'm not too worried about those bits of form. So yeah, it's a bloody hard race to win, but I'm hoping you might get a place at 10s.
Yeah, go big or go home. 10-1, Grace Angel. Surely extra place on offer as well with some firms to shop around. Paul, who are you going for?
I reckon you're going to go with John and Thady Gosden in the 355. So I'm gonna duck that and go with Military Order in the Derby. Proven over the mile and a half trip, represents a top team of Charlie Appleby and Buick. So Military Order is my nap this weekend.
I am very glad you've gone that, because you are very right. I have gone Torito, and my next best would have been Military Order in the Derby as well. So it's going to be either a really good or really bad weekend for us, Paul. But yeah, Torito is my nap for the reasons I mentioned earlier. For marker 95, I think we could be looking at a group horse in the handicap, and I think 6-1's a fair price to find out. Chaps, thanks as always for your selections this week. It is Epsom Derby Day tomorrow, Epsom Oaks Day on Friday. We've been through all 8 races on the Saturday, and hopefully we found some winners. Please be sure to like this video. Get your comments in. We've seen a few of you recently putting in your naps and your each way trebles and stuff like that. We love seeing them, so put them in the comments below. And so make sure you subscribe to the Wizard Closer channel with plenty of content to go through. All the best wherever you are back in this weekend, and thanks for watching.